All right, welcome back to the range here, and today we're going to talk about a different kind of topic. You're going to talk about NASCAR, and you know, recent events happened that there was a car accident that happened with a car crash, and now there is a certain possibility people are wanting to do away with car crashes and trying to make it, you know, like intentional, take out the intentional part of it. So, you know, for the most part, people are trying to say, well, if you do that, we don't want to go see it. We don't want to go see NASCAR. So we pretty much put them out of business. So they're basically saying that car crashes make money for NASCAR, pretty much. Is that the way that y'all see it?
I really don't watch NASCAR that much, but I do occasionally watch it, and usually when I'm watching NASCAR, besides Danica Patrick, and you know, I have my favorite racer is Tony Stewart. Most of the time, you know, I like watching it a little bit and see how they maneuver and drift and all that. But when you see a crash, it is exciting. As long, of course, you hope nobody gets seriously injured. But more or less, when I talk to people that I know that like NASCAR, they like to see the crashes. So if you do whatever you can to minimize crashes, it might take away from the sport. But if you're a lover of NASCAR, whether it's in a down year or up year, you're gonna stay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, with NASCAR, you always think crashes. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I always thought, you know, when you say NASCAR, you're talking about going on 190 to 200 miles an hour with somebody crash into the wall. I mean, what do you always say when you're like, when we were little kids, you know, you may be, you know, walking down the hallway, you put somebody into the wall, you're like, oh, NASCAR, you know. That's how it was. That's what people think of NASCAR. You know, that's what happens. But if they take away crashes, it does bring more like driving back into the game. You know, I mean, yeah, there's gonna be people going after each other and everything, but at the same time, if you're stuck just to driving, that happens. Now you like Tony Stewart. You know, right now, I mean, I think what Jimmy Johnson's doing is awesome. Yeah. But you know, winning all the Nextel Cups and everything. But my favorite is Dale Jr. You know, I loved his dad when he was racing. Dale Earnhardt, rest in peace. But the thing is, I enjoyed seeing Dale Jr. ever since then. So, for real, you know, in my opinion, you can't take away crashes, because crashes will happen. You've seen crashes that are accidental and crashes that are intentional. You can't help those that are accidental. Yeah. And if you try to take those away, then basically you're saying that accidental crash, you can do something, but make it look like an accidental crash.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is that, yeah, I don't watch NASCAR as much as Wes probably does, but you can't minimize crashes anyway. I mean, you can't control how some person drives. I don't really have a favorite NASCAR driver except, I mean, I used to pay attention to Jeff Gordon growing up, and then grew up watching all the Petties, Richard Kyle, all of them. But as far as crashing, I mean, the fans are still gonna show up and support the sport just because they love NASCAR and all that. So I highly doubt that it'll be possible for them to minimize crashes.
I don't really watch NASCAR at all. I don't think I ever really have. I watched it maybe for like 2 seconds, but I do know that crashing is...
As she flipped through the channel.
Yeah.
NASCAR kind of goes...
It's never really caught my interest. I mean, I can understand why guys that like cars and stuff would be into it, though. I have some family that is, but I mean, it does seem like crashing is a big part. It's also inevitable. It will happen whenever you're driving so many cars on one track, high speed, especially like competitively. So, I mean, there's no way they can take that out. But I do think that is a big, big reason why it is so popular. Definitely.
That is true. And the only thing NASCAR really can do is what they've been trying to do over the years is just make better equipment, make sure the cars are more safe, and that's pretty much all you really can do.
Mm-hmm. And when you think NASCAR, you think rednecks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's the reason why people go.
Yeah.
That's why NASCAR will not lose any fans, even if cars are taken out.
And especially the festivities before
NASCAR. Yeah, exactly.
But we're going to get into another sport. We're going to get into basketball. Now check this out. You know, before they really just had the divisions, they had just East and West. Right. And, you know, they had the best overall 8 teams go to playoffs. And, you know, now they do the the 3 division winners, they get one of the top 4 seeds, and then, you know, the other person with the best overall record gets the other top seed and 4th seed. Okay. Now, do you think it's fair for, let's say, a team that's wins their division, but they become a 4th seed because a team that didn't win a division that's in another one has a better record than them?
Well, no, it's not fair, but think about it. I mean, this is what happened a couple years ago. Not to sound like,
Yeah,
but the
like
Rockets
and the Utah
Utah
Jazz.
Jazz. The Rockets were the 5th seed,
But
the
had home
Utah
court
was the
advantage.
4th seed. But the Rockets had a home court advantage because of
the better record.
the better record. But it doesn't show that way in the standing.
Yeah.
Because it shows in the ranking, it has them as Utah as 4th, Houston at 5th. The whole 4 or 5 thing, you know, really doesn't happen. It happened against Dallas a couple years ago, Rockets and Dallas, you know, was it 05?
Yep.
So it happened the same way. Rockets, you know, the Mavericks had a better record than the Rockets did, and but the Mavericks had home court advantage.
Yeah.
So I mean, that just happened. That kind of thing happens. I don't like to see it personally because I figure if you have the best record, you should host it. You know, you should be able to host again no matter what.
You feel it should go back to the way
It should go back to the way it
just
used to
top
be.
8,
Top eight,
no matter what.
top 8 goes.
Top 8 goes.
I mean, that's also including if you're talking about like in football, like last year, Colts, Chargers. Chargers what 8-8, and the Colts were 12-4, but the Colts had to go to San Diego
Because they won.
because they won their division. Because San Diego won their division.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair for that to happen. I think you put the rankings back to where it was, because there was nothing wrong with it before.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You know, it's times that you work so hard, and you know, look at these teams that have like pushed so much level and put so much intensity into themselves, and they look, and there's a team that's playing the East pretty much, and they're just playing like pretty much terrible, but they win the division and they get an automatic top seed, pretty much, just for winning your division. And your division may not be all that good. It's just it blows my mind. So.
Honestly, I am indifferent. It doesn't matter to me. Because a few years back, you two actually should be kind of upset about this. Remember when the Mavericks and the Spurs back in, I think, the 2006 playoffs, when y'all played against San Antonio. San Antonio was the 1 seed that had 62 wins compared to y'all 60. And y'all ended up playing them in the second round. Usually, that would up y'all to a 2 seed instead of the 4 seed.
Yeah.
Instead of,
I remember that.
I mean, because most people do not want to see that.
They
So they don't want to see that kind of matchup so early. We expect to see that in the Western Conference Finals or Eastern Conference Finals. So I personally would like for the playoffs to stay the way they are right now.
I'm sort of indifferent on the matter of going back to the old system or not, but I did kind of favor it just because I felt like it was fair to other teams. But yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about that.
Speaking of the NBA, we're going to talk about the NFL and their playoff system. Do you believe the NFL's playoff system should be changed? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 Yes or no?
Yes.
Hell yes.
Yes.
Now, you gotta remember, there's something wrong with everybody's stuff. there's something wrong with everybody's playoff system. In football, it's 8 and 8 teams hosting a playoff game. In baseball, you can now choose if you want an extra day of rest or not for your pitcher. So yeah, everything needs to go back the way it was.
Should we have a playoff system for college football? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
I'm going to go with yes.
Yes. And we'll be right back with more on the Raiders.
Since we're about to end this part of the show, I'd like to go ahead and talk about retiring players going back to their old teams in which they made their name with. Recently, as of today, Nomar Garciaparra signed with the Red Sox on a 1-day contract just so he can retire as a Red Sox. A lot of players have done it before. We've all seen it happen. We've seen it, Emmitt Smith with the Cowboys, Jerry Rice with the Niners. It's happened before. What do you guys think about that happening?
I have no problem with it whatsoever, especially as long as you made your name with that team before you went off to another team. Now, if you made your name with the second team you went off to, and then you go back to your original team, it doesn't make sense. Just like, I forgot this young man's name. He just got inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Like he played for one.